most, driving is just a mundane task between point A and point B. Nothing more. It's the frustration of traffic at 8 a.m., the feeling of sickness on a long ride. The car? Just a tool. It's supposed to be practical, reliable, and fast. But the speed is really the reason cars exist, born out of a necessity to make that A to B trip just a little bit faster. Some have a deeper connection with cars, found somewhere in the bond of man and machine, a desire to be part of something bigger than yourself. It's the extension of mind and body to something more exciting than just another appliance. And these people never cared about practicality or reliability. To them, the only thing that matters is speed. We're born with a competitive nature, part of a biological necessity that has not yet worn off with time. People have raced for thousands of years, and that competition has transcended history and found its way to the industrial age. Railroads raced to build across the country, replacing the horses whose strength is still used as a benchmark for power today. And as personal vehicles became popular, the railroads died off. What once was the quickest way across the country became snail's pace in comparison. The interstate highway system expanded and cars populated every driveway. And the competition between types of transport quickly transitioned into the race to have the fastest car. Bragging rights. Manufacturers like Porsche, Ferrari, and BMW emerged in auto racing, each trying to one-up the other. Building engines became an arms race. Who could build the fastest dinosaur-powered legs? So while the passion for cars has died for most, there are still people that are fascinated by racing. The sights, the sounds, the smell of burning rubber and spent race fuel lingering in the air, this is what attracts us to the sport of auto racing. We are empowered by drivers that climb in impossibly fast cars and put everything on the line for the sake of competition. Drivers who know that one slip-up can lead to disaster. And for the longest time, wishing to be a race car driver was just a childhood dream. All we could ever be was a spectator. Opportunities? Limited and expensive. Reserved only for the who's who of the racing world. Until now.
Welcome to Sebring International Raceway. My name is Kyle Heyer, here alongside Finian DeCuna for a 60-minute IMSA race here to prepare for the 12 Hours of Sebring this coming weekend. All right, Finian, well, we know Sebring is very, very bumpy. We know it's a spectacular racetrack, but we also know that the IMSA categories are quite fun to drive together, especially those GTE and GT3 cars, but notice to be lacking the Daytona prototype category tonight, as is typical here within the iRacing platform. 1 DP and about a dozen or so GTEs, and then 5 or 6 GT3s on top of that. So 60 minutes tonight, Finian. How are you going to win this thing?
But making sure you get to the end of this is it's a 1 hour race, I believe, if I stand corrected. Yep. So pretty much just a matter of fact of making sure you make it to the end of this race. Because Sebring, like you said, it's a difficult track, so it's going to be difficult on these cars, difficult on these cars, difficult on the drivers. It's a really bumpy surface, and also a lot of grass, not a lot of runoff, so you can't afford to make a mistake. And
it's hard to see out here, Finian. I mean, it looks, it's pretty dark for you folks at home, but let's ride on board here for a moment. Those headlights do not cast a very far glow down the racetrack there, Finian. And riding on board Paul Darling in the 155 car. And Paul has been extremely fast in practice, and I think he's probably the one to beat here in GTE. GTLM. We'll call them by their correct class names.
Yeah, GTLM. So yeah, Darling up on the top of the charts by somewhat amount too, about half a second over Sean Romig. And also, actually, Romig's only 12,000 of the second faster than GTL Sandrini. That's very close time-wise.
Up and over the curbs down here on the far side of the course. And Sebring, tall curbs here, Finny, and a lot of these GT cars can handle these okay. But then we head over to the DP category with Max Lupfer in the 688 Corvette C7 Daytona prototype. These things are very, very fragile. You don't want to be hopping the curbs with these things.
Yeah, definitely. So you're going to see Lupfer pretty much avoid any curbing. Really, you might take a few on exit, but other than that, I want to stay away from the ones on the apex because those are the high ones. So yeah, you're going to want to stay away from them and just kind of manage the car, especially on these bumpy surfaces.
And you see he's going to lose a little bit of grip here and go for a little bit of a slide. The crazy thing about the DP here, Finny, it weighs a lot less than the GT LM cars and the GT3 cars. It's got more power, but also it's kind of a Frankenstein race car here, kind of built to get the DPs closer to the LMP2 category back in 2016. So these cars are not that much faster than the GTLM cars, and we'll take a look at our class structure here tonight. The typical IMSA class structure here, Finian, but again, not a huge difference, not a big enough difference to separate the classes significantly based on time, and right now you're seeing that with Max Lupfer with a 154.9 over Paul Darling's 155.6.
Indeed, and you're seeing there that, yeah, the prototypes have a little bit more horsepower and a little bit less weight on board, but it's still, they're only just a little bit faster than them, and that's really what we're seeing with those small differences.
Well, Ken Hauseal in GT3, he's really been untouched so far tonight in that number 23 Mercedes. You see the brake rotors glowing on that thing. Finian, these Mercedes are big cars. They're heavy.
Hey, we got another DP.
Hey, we got two. Nice. And that's awesome. I think he's over from the Drew Adamson Discord. Yes. So, so we got two DPs. We'll make a race out of it here tonight. But, Finian, speaking about Ken Hauseal, he's just been absolutely destroying people right now. If we take a look at the overall order here, look at Ken Hauseal. He's only 3.5 seconds back from the DP leader and significantly far ahead of Robert Elder in the number 11. So he is all by himself right now and no competition for the 23 of Hauseal. That real-world experience paying off for him.
Yeah, indeed. So he's actually gone faster than a few of the GTE drivers in the class ahead of him. He's currently faster than Liam Park, Andrew Mickey, Brian Son, and Dan Garber, who've all put down times in the GTE category.
All right, well, 2 minutes left in qualifying. Then we're going to race for 60 minutes under the lights here at Sebring, preparing ourselves for the 12 hours of Sebring this coming weekend. And a lot of these drivers will treat this as a practice race and run it how they typically would. Some drivers going out here just for the win, maybe playing with fuel maps. The GT3 cars can pretty much make it on fuel if they're careful about their throttle applications. The rest of the cars will have to make a pit stop, the DPs and the GT-LM category. So, yeah, so it's going to be an interesting way to see how this plays out. I think a lot of drivers like Mickey and Crum and Plord are probably going to be racing this as if they were racing in the 12-hour and not necessarily focusing too much on just the 1 hour. I think they're focusing more on the 12-hour and trying to extrapolate what they do tonight to Saturday.
Yeah, definitely so. Again, this is more of a practice race, not really much of a competition. It's more just guys to kind of get a feel for the car over the course of at least one run tonight. Cameron
Rich, the number 8 Porsche, working his way around and goes a little bit wide there on the exit of turn number 16. And these Porsches make a fantastic sound. That flat 6 motor screaming at extremely high RPM, and they are absolutely ear-bleeding to listen to in the real world. And Rich slides a little bit. Traction control available to all 3 categories tonight. And anti-lock brakes on 2 of the 3 categories. The GTLM cars do not have anti-lock brakes, so they might be a little bit trickier on the brakes, but I think the DPs are probably the most on-edge car around here. So it'll be interesting to see how they fare tonight.
And Cameron Rich puts in his time, and he's, I think, probably one of the final drivers to put in a time tonight.
I don't think Arjuna Kankapati?
Yeah.
Kankapati. I don't think Arjuna Kankapati is going to get a chance to run a lap here. Joined the server a little bit late, but we're going to try this again here in just a moment. And with that done, I think that's going to leave Max Lupfer on the pole in that number 688 Corvette C7. And again, that's not an easy feat. Those Corvettes are really, really difficult to drive. You have to drive them extremely loose, and the differential is really how you make them go fast. You got to leave that diff as open as possible to get as much power as you can out of the corner or through the corners, then lock it on exit to get that acceleration off. So qualifying complete here at Sebring, and then we'll line them up to go for 60 minutes around here. And the darkness has fallen, and it is pretty dark out here, Finian. Again, we mentioned the headlights not being very significant, but also, you know, with, I think we got like 15 or so GTLM cars. The first couple laps will be really, really lit up with all those headlights on the racetrack, and then after that, once the light starts to die off, it might be trickier to see. Yeah, definitely so, because Sebring is not really lit in a lot of places, only in a few of the corners and on the front straightaway. Other than that, it's pretty much in darkness, and you're up to your own headlights to work with to see the track. All right, so the campers have come here in droves, ready for the Sebring 12-hour this weekend. It'll be about 32 laps. If we go all the way green to the end, I don't think there's a chance for a full course yellow, so we will not see that. So we got 2 Daytona prototypes. Only one has gridded so far. We're waiting to see if Arjuna Kankapati will jump on the grid and give Max Lupfer a run for his money. So Kevin Vollmer in the 24 car, another new entry to the Sim Championship Racing Series, which is holding this event and running the number 24 Mercedes tonight. And I believe all of the GT3 cars are the Mercedes. And we do have everyone gridding as one class. So that's going to put one of the Porsches. It's either Eisenman or Plord. And it's not Plord, so it's got to be Eisenman, who is at the rear of the field here. And it's going to make for an interesting start. But the good thing is the GTLM and the GTDs not that far separated in terms of speed. Yeah, no, yeah, definitely. As the race will go on, they'll start to separate out just a little bit. But yeah, it's not the end of the world. Starting back in the back, although I'm sure some of the drivers would love to be right up with the guys they're competing in. Kankapati has gridded up, but he's all the way at the back, so he's going to have a fun time driving through the entire field. Well, let's see here. I'm not really familiar with Kankapati. He does have a 3,000 I rating, which is higher than Max Lupfer, so we'll see if he can go chase down Max, although he's laying down some pretty decent lap times in practice and qualifying. So we'll see if he can make that chase. Again, he's got to work through all the traffic. I think they might just let him clear his black flags and drive up to the front. I would hope that would be the case. I would hope so too, because yeah, it is going to be very chaotic to have him drive through all the traffic. But pace car is just about to get rolling here. We're going to go for the full pace lap. Yeah, I think there's sometimes some frustration around the Daytona prototypes within the IMSA category. Again, we mentioned the class separation is not very much, and again, we're not extending anything about Max here, but in general, the drivers that end up running the Daytona prototype in the official iRacing series are generally that of lower quality and don't have the skill to overcome the lack of speed that the DP has in comparison to the overly quick GTLM and GTD cars based on the European VOP. So there's some frustration there, and that generally transforms into a lack of respect for the Daytona prototypes and the prototype class as a whole, just because people expect them to be slow. So we'll see how that works out tonight. Again, only 2 DPs out here just racing each other, but we'll see how it all works out with the GTD and GTLM cars. Much bigger numbers for them tonight. Yeah, indeed. Really, I think most of the racing is going to come out of the GTE class, the biggest of the classes tonight. From the looks of it, looks like we got about 14 cars in that class. There's your starting lineup here, and Max Lupfer again on the pole in that Corvette C7. Paul Darling, another one of the drivers over from the Washington, D.C. region, SCCA, and Grid Life popping over tonight to run 60 minutes around this racetrack. DJ Alessandrini, he's got some competition tonight. He came in here asking what class to run in for the best competition. I think he found it in GTLM. Kurt Crum, another commenter from the Sim Championship Racing Series. Samuel Scott from Grid Life. We got drivers from all over the Sim TV spectrum here. Ryan Plord from SCRS, Robbie Wilson, I believe he's from Grid Life, so popping over tonight as well. But we'll let the field scroll across the screen. They're going to get a pretty decent class separation. We'll see if Kankapati is allowed around. I don't know if they're going to do that, though. We'll see. Yeah, I don't think it looks like they will, and he will be starting in behind the GTDs with separation involved as well, so he's going to be further behind than he probably would have liked compared to the leaders. This camera's really zoomed in. The camera's not good for that. There you go. I love how these things sound, these Corvettes, the big beefy V8. They weigh 2,600 pounds, actually well, less than that without the driver. And Finian, Arjuna's losing a little bit of connection there. Those things are absolute monsters, but not in comparison to the European spec GTLMs. Yeah, indeed. So, speaking of the GTLMs, we should be getting the BMW M8. The BMW M8 coming in this build, and very exciting. It'll diversify the GTLM field and GTE field and the European stuff a little bit more. And the big boy is coming to town, and they're just adding them to the series. With the 6-car limit they have right now, they would have had to remove a car, but they're going to up that limit to 7. Thankfully. And we'll get to keep the Ferrari in IMSA in the official series. I did see 1 or 2 Ferraris Yeah, I think there's one. Dan, nope, that's not Brian Newton. Is AJ Digby? No, who is it? Kevin Vollmer in the... Who is that? Or maybe it's just a GTLM Ferrari. I could have sworn it was a GT3 spec. All right, I guess not. Oh, Brian Sohn. That's who it was. But Sohn is going to be in the GTLM category tonight, so... interesting. I didn't know he had that paint scheme on that car, but I guess they're pretty easy to transfer over.
yeah.
All right, Lupfer all by himself at the front of the grid there. Again, we mentioned our class structure. Typical IMSA prototype GTLM GTD structure. All rear-wheel drive cars here tonight. A lot of mid-engine cars, a couple front-engine cars in this grid. The Mercedes AMG being one of them. Actually, the only one here tonight. Pace car is going to pull off. It's going to be 60 minutes around Sebring in the dark. Who is going to come out on top, especially in GTLM? Green flag is in the air, and we are racing at Sebring.
And as Luffer comes across the line by himself, here comes the meat of the field. The GTEs come across the line. Their race has started. And you're going to see in the back, Concapati's trying to get through most of the traffic.
Side by side for the lead up front here. That's the number 4 car to the inside. That's Romig for the lead. He's going to lose it. Does he save it? Yes, he does. Almost crashes right in front of the field. Absolute chaos heading down to turns 2 and 3.
Yeah, wasn't able to do it, though, without getting some damage to his car, so he's already dealing with damage on Romig, but the rest of the Porsches are racing out.
I'll say they're racing. He's got some damage to that rear wing, as you mentioned. The 14 of Liam Park behind this, trying to figure out where to go. There's the Ferrari. I think that is the number 74, Brian Plord. Made their way down to the hairpin the first time through. Some lights flashing in the rear there. As Field scrambles down to turn number 5, I believe that is. Nope, got a slow car. It's the 171 of Robbie Wilson. Almost lost it there. And there's Arjuna Kankapati trying to make his way through the field. And he's made up some pretty good ground so far.
He's done a fantastic job on this start, being very patient. It's very hard to do, being in a faster class like this. So you see him just kind of waiting for the opportunities to get past these drivers. And he's usually doing it on exit here because I think he knows that he can get up to speed faster than the cars around him.
Woo. Goes all the way out to the edge of the racetrack and making very good time right now into the inside of, that's Andrew Mickey in the 1 that he just went on through. And those Porsches making an absolute racket as they drive on by. Meanwhile, up for the lead in GTLM, Paul Darling now half a second lead over Kurt Crum, but we know how talented Crum is. Let's not give this race away just yet. Sean Robig in 4th, Ryan Plord 5th, DJ Alessandrini slipped the spot to 6th on this opening lap.
Yeah, there you see Plord. Oh, Ferrari's off on the track on the right side.
That's Brian Schabelski in a Ferrari. He's off and going to lose a bunch of spots here. They're all getting down here. Ryan Plord under attack from Samuel Scott in the 98. Battle for 5th in class. Really close on the exit of Sunset Bend. So Schabelski's rejoined the track safely. Lupfer's up to a 9-second lead already with a little bit of separation and a great opening lap. He's generating some distance. Meanwhile, how about GTD? Robert Elder in the lead now over Ken Hausiel. Interesting transition here.
Yeah, indeed. Elder just ahead of Hausiel. This is the fight for GTD.
So Schabelski trying to get back around some of the GT cars, the other GT cars, and there's Jordan Teal in the number 7 Porsche that's behind this group. Paul Darling, oh, he's off the racetrack here, Finian.
Oh, it's a tough break for him. I'm not sure what happened, and we'll take a look at a replay.
Let's go take a look. Was this all by himself? Ran wide on exit, jumped to curb. Was that all on his own?
Oh, he just got loose. Yeah.
And off the racetrack he went. No damage there, so he'll rejoin the racetrack, but back in 6th place in class. Arjuna Kankapati up to 6th overall, 2nd in class, and trying to work his way around Ryan Plord up the road.
And actually, I'm looking at the gap. He's actually closing in the gap
very quickly.
Yeah, so he went up to about 15 seconds. Is now down to 13.4. So if he can keep this pace up, again, this is an hour. We have an hour for this race. He might be able to catch Lupfer. So
13 seconds right now, the separation between the leaders in prototype. And Ken Hausiel has stolen the lead back away from Robert Elder in GTD and has now pulled up the road about 2 seconds almost.
Yeah, and back for 2nd place in GTD. There you see Elder and Dan McVicker fighting for position.
Both these big Mercedes, big motors on these things. These are big boys too, just like the original. I think these guys were the original M8 mean here. But the brake rotor's already going on these cars. That's Schabelski again, really struggling in the opening part of the race here in that number 21 Ferrari.
Yeah, indeed. But yeah, if we go back to the Mercedes, I just kind of want to see them go around Sunset. and you'll see what I'm talking. Oh, you were looking at it earlier, but for the people watching, just look at the brake rotors on these things, because these things glow red hot.
On board, the number 11 of Robert Elder. Look at the glowing of that brake disc as they enter Sunset Bend. Look at the suspension working through here, too. Very bumpy. And I think the Mercedes is actually one of the best handling cars for bumps because it's got so much weight. And generally is a softer setup car. But how about Arjuna Kankapati here, Finian? Worked his way through the field, no incidents there, and just ran a 155.6, which is a full second faster than Max Lupfer, our current GP leader.
Yeah, and he's been closing in the times ever since he got through most of the thick of the mixed class traffic. So it's currently got Romig and Kurt Krum just ahead of him, and that's the last remaining traffic. And then he's going to have clear track up towards Max Lupfer. Sorry.
All right, up and over the curbs there. And how about this battle right now? A couple GTEs or GTL. I keep making that mistake. I've gotten so used to calling them GTEs.
Yeah, because no one calls them GTLMs on here, but yeah.
GTLMs, and there's Jordan Teal, the number 7 Eisen Designs portion, trying to work around the 77, or actually the 11, excuse me, of Robert Elder. And it's gotten around. Kankapati continues to chase down Lupfer. The gap is now 11.6 seconds.
Yeah, now he's trying to work through past the 4 Sean Romig.
And he's going to get this done easily here on the back straightaway. Really aggressive over the curbs there. Got to be careful with these DP machines. They don't have a whole lot of suspension travel, and they will hook themselves on the curb just like that. Skateboards over the curbing, and they're going a little bit wide there. And oh, I heard a motor blower. Oh, Sean Romig.
Oh,
big
no.
damage. Actually, he's okay, but he hit the wall there, and not a whole lot of damage actually. Let's take a look. What happened here? Did he catch the curb?
He definitely caught the curb. Or not. Oh. He
almost ran into the back of the Corvette and jammed on the brakes, and light contact there. He'll be okay, but he's going to lose a bunch of spots. How about Andrew Mickey and Ryan Floor battling for spots right here? The 1 of Mickey is in the Porsche. The 74 Ferrari drives right on through. Will take that spot away. That is 7th in class.
Yeah, indeed. Floor gets around him. Andrew Mickey trying to do the crossover here. And you see in the grass, Robbie Wilson taking some grass.
That wing is very green on that car.
Yeah, it is.
And Mickey flashing those headlights around Ryan Floor, maybe taking an outside line to try to get an advantage on corner exit. A little bit wide, but he'll manage that gap for now. Carried more speed around the outside lane and almost had a look to the outside, but couldn't quite get it done.
Yeah, looks like those guys are going to have it sorted out. Meanwhile, battle for 5th in GTLM between Cameron Rich and Paul Darling. And here comes Darling. Is going to be into the hairpin.
Side by side. And looks like Darling's going to take that spot away. Remember, Darling lost control on lap number 2 after leading the opening stint there, so trying to get his spots back.
Yeah, it's currently 10 seconds behind the class leader, Kurt Krum, at the moment. So if he can, that's definitely within reaching distance. And these guys do have to pull off a pit stop.
Everybody, the GTDs are the only one that can make it realistically.
I see.
AJ Digby a little bit slow. Oh, we got one off the racetrack. It's Shabelski again, the 21 car. That might be night over for him. Let's take another look. Oh, he was way off and slipped into the 11 car of Elder and got the 13 of Dan McVicker. And let's take another look at this. I want to see how this happened. And Shabelski is in that black Ferrari, the 3rd car in line.
Yeah, and he was in the meat of the GT3 traffic.
Just drove off to the right. Kind of a lapse there.
Oh.
And got into both the second and 3rd place GTD cars. So a little bit of a chaotic moment there. But that was a strange lapse. You don't normally see Shabelski make a mistake like that, Finian, and just drove off the right side of the track.
Yeah, it seems like he was really struggling in that car, which is, again, kind of surprising considering he drove that car last season for our challenge. So, yeah, it's a tough break for him.
Andrew Mickey taking the short way around.
And he's looking slow.
Yeah, really slow through the center of the corner. I think it looked like Robbie Wilson just drove around him. I mean, I don't think he had an issue. He just took the inside line and had to go a lot slower to be able to maintain that groove.
Yeah, I guess so, but he did lose quite a little bit of time back from Ryan Ford, so I think something might have happened to the 1.
Wow, look at the bouncing those cars had. Actually, let me get a replay of that. That's too good to... I know they were passing each other, but we just got to take a look at this real quick. Watch the 171 on corner exit here. Wow. And then here's the replay of the pass. 14 of Liam Park getting around.
Oh, up towards the front though, it's getting spicy. Arjuna Kantapati it's reeled in up for now 6.5 seconds and closing, so this is going to be a racer for the lead.
Can he see the number 688 up the road just yet? There's some taillights in the distance, and he's chasing him down. 153.7 last time through for the number 27 of Kankapati. And Kurt Crum, his lead over DJ Alessandrini is actually growing a little bit, 4.2 seconds. Samuel Scott sitting in third right now, then Sean Romig, Paul Darling, fourth and fifth in the category. Ken Halseal and GTD all out in front by himself. He has an enormous lead over the next place, 11 of Robert Elder.
Yeah, has an 8-second lead over him, so solid job. Actually, it's more than that. It's a 13-second lead over Elder, so solid job by Halseal, and is leading the class without having to worry about pretty much anything.
Jordan Teal flashing his headlights on the far side of the course here at Sebring. That is a huge distraction for drivers in front, especially at night.
Yeah, indeed. You see you kind of see the headlights off behind. You kind of just disappear, and it distracts you for a little bit. They see Andrew Mickey flashing them in response.
Well, hit the top of the rev limiter there, down into the corner. There's a sunset bend. You enter it wide and pull it down low, bouncing over the bumps. A good line through there, but Jordan Teal, whoa, almost gets into the wall on corner X. So these guys using every little bit of the racetrack.
Yeah, indeed. They're not wasting any little bit if they can use it.
Oh, hello. Max Lupfer must have had an incident here. Finian changed for position and prototype, and Arjuna Kakapati takes the lead. This was actually a while ago that he had this incident, and it was turn 15. Oh, he hooks the curb, and this is what I was talking about, Finian. It's so hard to get these DPs around here when they're so sensitive on the curbing. Take another look. Gets on it, and then he's just going to hook it. It's going to skateboard across it, and just absolutely no grip. That's such a cool angle, though.
Yeah, and that's just the under tray of the car hitting the curbs, and the tires not making contact with the ground. So it was nothing but a passenger for those little bits. But yeah, there's now 2 seconds behind Kantapati.
Romig is under attack now from Paul Darling, the 155 Porsche. And number 4 might have to start running defensively here if he wants to maintain this position. God, those cars sound good.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, Romig with some damage to the back wing of that car. Got that in turn 1, and then pretty much had to deal with that all race. Also has some right front damage to his car, but is still doing pretty well, all things considered.
Let me tell you, Jordan Teal and Andrew Mickey are just absolutely driving each other up the wall right now. They're constantly flashing each other's headlights at each other. Look, I mean, look at this. This is an absolute battle right now. I think they're just having a lot of fun right now.
Indeed, so they're just ahead of...
Oh, Max Lupfer crashed again. This time a lot worse. That car completely torn up. That's on the exit of turn number 16. And it's almost the same spot on the racetrack. Goes out wide, clips the grass with the left rear, and big damage for the 688.
Yeah, tough break for him. Was leading at the beginning of the race, and then he seemed to just go into the wall. Yeah, was leading this race, and now is going to have to... He's pretty much out of it here. He's got significant damage to his car.
That's how fast it happens. Oh, man, what an impact.
Yeah.
So Lupfer, he's still out on the racetrack. I think he's going to tough this one out for a little bit, but that car is not going to be very fast anymore.
No, oh, God, it looks the car's off the axle.
Yeah, that's terminal damage, I think. I don't know if we have fast repairs or not.
We'll find out if he gets back on the track
with
a clean race car. But yeah, Arjuna Kantapati is currently leading in first place.
Well, at least we got 2 DPs.
Yeah,
that's all that matters.
At least it was a little bit of a race. At least it was a race.
All right, well, we're almost 15 minutes in here, and Kurt Crum's lead is beginning to dwindle just a little bit, down to 3.8 seconds. It was 4.2 at one point. Alessandrini's having to work for this one pretty hard.
Yeah, indeed. So in the 25 car, trying to drill down Kurt Crum, but Crum's been putting on a solid pace. And actually, last time through, Crum was 4,000 of a second faster than DJ Alessandrini. So that's how close they are in times.
They're very well matched. And again, DJ walked in here looking for the best competition, and he certainly found it tonight in GTLM. So he is second place right now, trying to run down leader Kurt Crum. Samuel Scott in third, going to give him a run for his money as well. But how about GTD, Ken Halseal, still out in front now by 15.3 seconds over Robert Elder in the 11. To be fair to Robert Elder, he kind of got knocked out of the way there by Shabelsky. So
yeah, indeed. Same with the 13 of Dan McVicker, and they haven't been able to recover since from that. So yeah, tough break for both those guys. That pretty much took them out of contention for this win here.
Romig and Paul Darling getting closer together here on the back straightaway, and you see them heading into Sunset Bend. Very different lines being taken here, and Darling goes all the way out. He's going to cross him over on corner exit. Look at the run he gets here, but can he carry the momentum down the front straightaway? And he's in the slipstream now.
Yeah, he's in the slipstream, has a little bit of a run. Let's right on board. We can see him closing in that gap.
This is, I think, one of the trickier corners on the racetrack. Doesn't get enough credit for how difficult it is. It's so easy to underdrive that corner.
Yeah.
But
it's so easy to underdrive the corner. It's so easy to overdrive the corner.
It's a very really fine line, and you got to get right up against that wall without hitting it. And it's not a very smooth curve either. No. It's just a bunch of concrete walls stuck together. It's not exactly a very beautiful turn. So it's fun to drive though. Hold on, we're just going to turn up the audio for a second. Just listen to this thing. That thing sounds pretty good.
Liam Park's dropped down the order.
Oh, yes, he has. The 14 of Liam Park. He's in the number 14 GTLM car, and he's gone for a little bit of a loop. Let's go take a look. It's too much power, Finian.
Oh, and then, yeah.
No damage, though.
Yeah, but tough break for him. Was running in, I believe, 7th place when that happened. Is now back 11th in class.
Hey, the battle for second's getting pretty interesting here, Finian. Alessandrini, this is second in GTLM. DJ Alessandrini, Sam Scott closing together.
Yeah, and actually of note, between the top 3 in that class, the fastest of them last time through was Samuel Scott. So I think that 98 might have something here.
Love first back out on track, and we have fast repairs, so he's still in the hunt, kinda, if something happens to Kankapati.
Yeah, that's his only saving grace, because Kankapati was faster than him just on pace. So if Arjuna runs into some trouble, I think Love will have a chance. Other than that, though, he's going to kind of set the right around here for the next 45 minutes.
Top of the battle for 4th, also heating up Romig and Darling. They've been at each other for a couple laps, and we would have done a sound surge there, but this theme actually doesn't have the sound surge implemented because I have a couple other features in replacement of it. So I could add it at some point, but you typically don't do segments like that in road racing.
No.
So I left it out for that reason. Anyway, battle for 4th, Romig and Darling. Nose to tail as they work their way through the hairpin. Darling wants his spot bad, and he has a little bit of damage to that front splitter, but it can't possibly be affecting the car very much.
Yeah, Romig and Darling the fastest in the class. Actually, Romig's currently the fastest driver in GTLM in 4th place, so he's putting down the quickest times. Has a decent amount of a gap towards the leaders, but if he keeps his pace up, he should be able to catch them.
Battle for 2nd in GTD, Robert Elder and Dan McVicker. These guys have been around each other the whole race, very matched on pace. And right now, they're running very close together, about 3/10 separating these two drivers as they make their way down to the hairpin.
Yeah, these guys have kind of been with each other for most of this race here, so a nice little battle between them. 2nd place in class. Unfortunately, again, the leader in the class is 17 seconds up the road.
And again, you see the brake rotors glowing on these cars, and that's typical for it's not like they're wearing out their brakes any faster than anybody else. They're just, they work a lot hotter because these cars are much heavier than their Ferrari, Audi R8, and other counterparts in this class that are not present here tonight. Jump back up to that battle for 4th, Romig and Darling. Still close together. These guys are not giving up on each other just yet.
No, they're not. They've been right with each other for quite a few laps, for like the last 5 laps or so. So they have not left each other's side, and I'm sure Romig probably wants that to change.
Alessandrini has gained ground on Kurt Crum, but he has also lost ground to Samuel Scott. So the question is, there's 40 minutes left. It's a long time. Who do you think wins this race? All 3 of these guys are fast.
Honestly, really, anyone in the top 5 right now in that class could win the race. They're all within a pretty solid distance between each other. They're all within about 7 seconds. So really, yeah, anyone in the top 5, I gotta say, it has a good shot of winning this race in the GTLM category, because they're all really fast drivers, and 4th and 5th place are the fastest cars in that class at the moment.
It'll be interesting for sure. And there's a little bit of strategy to play here as well. How much fuel do you take? When do you take fuel? So that's all going to play out. I think Alessandrini's sitting in a good spot, but Samuel Scott, is he the quickest one out there? Samuel Scott, 157.4. No, the quickest car is Kurt Crum overall in terms of the best lap times. So I guess we'll have to keep an eye on that 6 car. But I think he might have shot out of the gate pretty fast and is now having to back down a little bit to save either fuel or tires or both.
Yeah, indeed, the gap now below 3 seconds. Actually, that was a noticeable drop in the gap. It was hovering at about 3.3. So Kurt Crum lost 0.6 of a second to Alessandrini. There, you see him in the background.
Yeah, actually, really 2nd through 5th are all closing up together. And 157. Actually, no, the quickest car in the field actually is Paul Darling in the 155, but just by about a hundredth or a couple hundredths of a second. But he is running those lap times a lot more recently than Kurt Crum is, hence the charge back to the front.
Are you alright? Did you say Paul Darling then at 155?
157.
Oh.
157.0, 157.0.
Okay, I thought you heard you say he was running a 155.
I might have said that, but I didn't mean that. I was confident in what number I was saying, but I could have spoke it wrong. My brain and mouth are definitely detached at a lot of times.
I was gonna say, that's DP territory. He's got a really good car then.
Arjuna Kakapati's all by himself up front in that Reverend Racing C7 DP. 83.8 second lead. About 1 minute and 23 seconds over Max Lupfer. But, I mean, you still got to be mistake-free here, because we saw one mistake take out Lupfer. I mean, same thing could happen to Arjuna at any time.
Yeah, but I mean, he's got a lot of leeway with him. Last time I checked, the gap between him and Lupfer was, I believe,
83 seconds?
80-something seconds. So he's got a lot of time to play around with, and he can kind of just drive around here with just pretty much lazily be on a Sunday drive here. And just kind of pace himself out.
Well, a little laggy there, but you can see that he is approaching a little bit of lap traffic. He's going to catch the rest of the field here by the end of the event. So I guess we're going to see how that all plays out. I mean, he's going to have to work through some traffic. He did it very, very well the first time. Oh, the headlight flash there. Interesting. Oh, maybe just warning that Mercedes that he's coming. And that would be the number 5 of AJ Digby, who has some significant damage to that nose.
Yeah, to the nose and also to the left side of that car, so not sure what happened to him.
Something big. Oh, and he's going to make an immediate pull to pit lane.
Took a few cones with him.
Well, I guess he's going to take fuel, and it is possible to run the whole thing without taking fuel. So the question now becomes, what's the rest of the strategy? And what about Ken Halseal? Is he going to be able to maintain this pace? He's running 59s in a GTB car. That's very, very quick.
Yeah, I mean, he can afford a back. I don't know, honestly, he probably might do that later. Just turn the car down. He's got a 20-second lead over second place. Just turn the fuel mapping down and save some gas. So
you probably just coast around at this point. 21-second lead over the next best guy. Anyway, battle for the lead in GTLM. Kurt Crum still has a 2.7-second lead over Alessandrini, but Sam Scott has dropped a little bit from the back of Alessandrini. Romig and Darling closing in. So there's your battle. Actually, all your top 5 right here in this one shot.
Yeah, and all 5 of them Porsches are chasing each other down.
I think this will look a lot like Saturday with the way the BOP is right now. Wow, look at Darling using every bit of racetrack. Dropping a little bit of dirt there at the exit of turn 1. And it's another thing we haven't really talked about, Finian, is how easy it is to get dirt on the racetrack that you can't see at night. I mean, you can't see the obstacles very well, so you're going to run yourself into some dirt, and that stuff is very slippery.
Yeah, and we saw some guys handling with the slippery conditions, so they're kind of struggling with that already, and then you add dirt into the equation, it's only going to make it a lot worse. But they see the 680 or the 688 of Max Lupfer getting through lap traffic.
You know, another one of my little annoyances of the DP being so old is that I'm running the correct class colors for the 2018-2019 spec IMSA, and that's got the red placard on it. It drives me nuts. But Lupfer making pretty good time. He's still running very good lap times, just not quite as quick as Arjuna Kakapati in the lead right now in the number 27 DP. Closest battle on the racetrack still is for, actually now it's for 3rd in class in GTLM. Samuel Scott has fallen all the way back to Romig and Paul Darling. And our battle for the podium spot in GTLM is on.
Yeah, Scott did not have a good lap last time through, but Romig ran 9/10 of a second faster than Scott, so that's how he's able to reel him back in. And here they come now, battle for 3rd.
And this is I think this is probably the most important corner on the entire racetrack, because you have to hit that exit. This is the longest straightaway at Sebring International Raceway, and it's the longest, flattest, and fastest. And whoa, there's one of the cars wide. I think that's Cameron Rich in the 8 way down at the end of the straightaway, but he lost a little bit of ground doing that. Ryan Plord behind him. And there's Jordan Teal, and actually it's not Jordan Teal, it's a Mercedes, which I think would be that of Ken.
No, that was A.G. Digby.
Thank you, A.J. Digby.
Yeah, those roof tiles are really helpful. The position in it, that's the only reason why I knew it was him.
Yeah. Alessandrini's got that lead down to 2 seconds flat here, Finian. Kurt Crum losing a little bit of ground last time by for Kurt Crum, a 158.0. DJ Alessandrini, a 157.4, 0.6 of a second. Cameron Rich down on pit lane. Scheduled stop for him.
Yeah, I think we're going to see a lot of the rest of the field come down in around in the GT category at least. They're probably going to do more traditional thing, just cut it halfway, pit at 30 minutes.
It's Cameron Rich down on the pit lane, receiving service.
Yeah, and this is actually where these guys can use it strategically because Romig's catching Samuel Scott. He's right behind him, so if Scott pits, Romig can stay out here, run in some clean air, and gain some time over Scott, and then come back out ahead of him. So that's what we might see. We might see some strategy from this top 5, considering they're catching each other.
Undercut or overcut? What's your preferred way in an endurance race?
Oh, an endurance race, I really don't do much endurance racing, but I mean, it kind of depends. I would say probably do an overcut, especially if I'm in Sean Romig's situation where you're stuck behind a car that's slower than you, but would be hard to pass and would waste time. So I think in Romig's case, he should do an overcut.
Down the long back straightaways here, and then this is a very fun S's section here. The curbs have a very sharp edge to them here, though, and any of these cars really can't afford to dip too far over the edge. We've seen it get a couple cars tonight, especially the 688 of Lupfer. But now, again, the very important corner, and look at Romig got a much better line through there than Samuel Scott. Scott ran a little bit wide, but carried more speed. So the question is, how long is it going to take before Romig gets to that rear bumper? He's only 3/10 back right now.
We'll see how both these drivers enter Sunset. You see Romig turning in just a little bit more than Samuel Scott. It's about half a car length more towards the inside, with Scott running a wider line.
You see the camera there is the mirror, and these GTLM cars typically do that, especially if they're mid-engine. They have those cameras to help see behind them, as the mirror really wouldn't be able to see a whole lot, but that's going to be a pass for position. Move Romig to podium in GTLM.
Yeah, solid, clean pass there ahead of Samuel Scott. Romig up into third now. Is going to have to set his sights on DJ Alessandrini up ahead.
Cameron Rich is still in pit lane here, Finney. He's been there for quite some time. I don't think that's what we originally thought he was in there for.
I guess that's probably why he came in as early as he did.
Yeah, he's been in there for 2 minutes. I think that is night over for him, I would expect.
Potentially so. So that leaves us down with 11 GTs. Still have the 6 GTVs that started, and also the 2 prototypes that started as well.
And I can't stress enough what Arjuna Kankapati is doing right now in DP. I know he's all by himself, and it really doesn't look all that impressive, but let me tell you, these cars are hard to drive, and to not mess up, we're on working lap 15 right now. That's impressive. I mean, these cars are very difficult. Oh, did he just hit the wall?
The SimTV curse.
No. Actually, was that recent, or was that just
No, he just hit the wall as he hit the camera on him.
Dang it.
He just hit the wall in Sunset.
And here's the problem here's the problem with that, Finian. When you hit a wall in the DP, it damages the right front fender. They have to replace the whole nose on that car. That takes a long time. Yeah. So and you don't get a choice to fix it. So they just do it or don't. So we'll have to see if that gets changed when he comes down to the pit lane.
Well, they do have fast repair, so it's not going to be...
Darn. All the strategies out the window. Dang it.
I was actually kind of surprised he didn't bother coming into the pit there. He might come in next time.
Yeah.
I fix that, but yeah. That was really funny. As soon as you were talking about what he was doing is impressive, hit the wall.
Hey, DJ Alessandrini's doing real good right now.
Yeah, don't say that before he hits a wall.
Oh, man. All right. Let's see. Christopher Albright in the number 9 Porsche. He actually entered late, and he's out here right now running in 14th in class 22nd overall. Just out here for fun, I think. At this point.
He's 9 laps down, so he's definitely not getting those back. So kind of just out here for fun.
The question is he listed as a did not start? Because I don't think he was on the grid. Albright was listed as out, interestingly enough. So. Don't know about that. Anyway, battle for third in class. Romig has pulled away from Darling just a little bit. Samuel Scott, though, has dropped all the way back to 5th from 3rd. So he's struggling with that car just a little bit now. And the battle for the lead in GTLM is heating up. Crum and Alessandrini getting a lot closer together here.
Yeah, indeed. It's going to start heating up between both these drivers. Alice Andrini's closing in on Kurt Crum, and then Roman's closing in on both of them. So we have a really solid fight shaping up here for the GT-LM lead. And also Roman, too, was only 11,000 of a second faster than DJ Alice Andrini. So both those guys are really close.
Yeah, I think this is going to be the classic case of just outright speed and consistency. If you take a look, Kurt Crum's best lap time is 0.3 of a second faster than DJ Alessandrini. But DJ's been a lot more consistent and been a tick quicker over the course of the run as a whole. So Alessandrini looking real good right now if he wants to. And we're halfway through, and if he continues at this pace, he will pass Kurt Crum. So the question is, what does Kurt Crum do to keep that 25 behind him?
Yeah, there really isn't much he can do. I mean, he doesn't really have many options other than really just picking up the pace because he's in for it. But yeah, here's a battle in GTD. There's Arjuna in the 27 going around the outside.
And again, this is battle for second. Robert Elder, Dan McVicker, who both had an incident with Shabelsky earlier in the night. Pass for position, not quite. Dan McVicker will have to try again.
I also love how you can even see glowing. The brakes are under so much work. You can see the rear brakes glowing as well.
Yeah, actually, let's see if we can get a good shot of that. I don't really know if we have an angle that is so side on that you can see that.
Probably see here.
Oh yeah, rear brake. I've never seen that before.
Yeah, neither have I. That just shows how much under braking these cars are.
There's a pass for position, I think. Nope, not quite. Sorry, I wasn't paying attention. I was looking at the brakes.
Yeah, but yeah, even in this corner too, you can just see how much underwork. I don't think you really see that in any other class or any other car than the Mercedes.
Yeah, again, Mercedes is a big boy,
even before the M8.
Well, they see the M8 kind of has a pass because I don't really think it's all that heavy. It's
no,
big,
it's just wide.
but the Mercedes is a heavy car. Yeah, it's a brick.
It's big mass.
Yeah.
Mass-wise.
Okay, here's a battle for your lead in GTLM. Kurt Crum has been caught by DJ Alessandrini. It took 30 minutes to get here, but I think we're gonna have a battle on our hands shortly. Oh, cone. Cone death on corner entry, and DJ just knocked that one out of the way. And that's actually a kind of a big concern around Sebring. There's a lot of cones, and they're very easy to get trapped up underneath the car and slow you down. They do slow you down and damage your car, so you don't want to be knocking them over too much and risk getting one trapped up in your splitter. Question is, I'm curious to see what Alessandrini does strategy-wise here.
Yeah, because now over halfway through this race, and you guys, I would expect them to come down pit road, although they might be trying to just race it out, run out of the tank, and then make a trip down. Yeah, I am curious to see if he's just gonna maybe try to sit in behind Kurt Crum, wait for him to make a mistake, or if he's just gonna try to get up to him and pass him as soon as possible.
How about Liam Park and Andrew Mickey? Man, Andrew's been using that headlight button. He's wearing out the label on it tonight.
He's gonna burn out the bulbs or something.
I mean, LEDs are rated for like 20 years of use, but he's
the way
he's used them. He's used about 20 years worth of LED flashing tonight. Chasing down. This is for 9th in class. Take a look at our, this is absolutely not correct for the class structure. Let's do it this way. 17 laps they've been out on the racetrack now, and we're gonna have to come into pits eventually here, and it's gonna, I'm curious to see how long they're gonna run before they do that. Wow, Andrew Mickey really showing the nose, and he's gonna drive to the inside, almost gets to the inside of Liam Park. Park runs a little bit wide though on exit. We might have a pass for position here.
Yeah, Park on the left side of the track looks like Mickey's gonna fall behind.
And there goes those headlights again.
Yep.
Oh, thank you, Finian, for warning me that I had an issue.
Oh.
All right. Oh,
I thought I heard tires. Yeah.
I think that's karma at that point. Let's go back, take a quick look, and was there contact?
I'm curious if there's contact or if Park pinched him and that was Mickey just trying to avoid not hitting him.
Oh, nope, no contact. Just drove down to the inside, lost a little bit of ground, and somehow saved that. That was a great save. The traction control helped a little bit, but not too shabby for Andrew Mickey. He'll drop, or won't be able to get that spot, and he drops behind Max Lupfer, who's charging his way back through the field for the second time. And I won't give Max this. He's been doing this. He's been very patient so far. Runs a little bit wide here. Commentator cursed again. But he's been very patient so far climbing through the field, and we have not seen any poor interaction between the classes here, which is unusual for IMSA at best, but obviously the drivers in this field very talented.
Indeed, so is a Lupfer. Still trying to work through some traffic. He's got majority of the GTE fuel up ahead of him.
Oh, that's not the right camera. Don't worry about that. I need to just rename all these so I don't screw them up.
Here's a funny thing: you really can't rename them.
Oh, well, that's terrible.
I would have to make another camera, but then your thing would just be filled with camera. That's why I don't bother renaming them, because iRacing is annoying.
All right. Anyway, how about the battle for the GTLM lead right now? Whoa, Alessandri's way wide at the exit of turn 1, and look at behind him, Romig and Darling fighting hard for third.
Yeah, this is Darling again. He drove his way back up here, and again, we're talking about this fight between these guys, and Sam Scott has just completely fallen off the pace. He's now 3 seconds behind Paul Darling, so he's kind of fallen out of his battles, now down to the top 4 really in class. They're all kind of all bunched up together within 4 seconds of each other.
It's just amazing the consistency that ends up changing how these races are run. Again, Alessandrini been way quicker the last couple laps, although Kurt Crum has changed that, ran a 57.0 last time through. Yeah, I think it's interesting to me how different the speeds are over the course of a run. I would have thought everyone would be a lot closer in terms of their consistency, but very different tonight.
Yeah, indeed. So I think it just matter when depends on when the drivers decide to really go for it here, and that's I think where we're seeing where some of them are using up their stuff.
This battle is going to get really interesting, to say the least. I would have thought that Alessandrini would have run him down by now. He was about 2/10 back a couple laps ago, but wasn't able to catch Kurt Crum.
Yeah, he's kind of stalled out now at around a second behind him, and hasn't really been. He was a little bit closer. Now he's kind of fallen off. So not sure what's going on.
Maybe they're trying to stretch it to the end here. It's not unheard of to go to the end on fuel this long in a GTLM car. So maybe they're going to try to stretch it, and maybe they're turning down the fuel maps, and maybe Crum is being a little bit conservative right now to save that fuel to the end of the race. That could be totally wrong, but I'm fairly certain. I mean, typically a fuel run for these cars is about 45 minutes. I think they can just stretch that a little bit and get that extra little...
That's a lot of stretching.
45 minutes if you're going all out, full throttle all the way around. I mean, Daytona I'm using as an example, which you're on throttle a lot more. So you might be able to eke out 50 to 55 minutes, and at that point, you know, that's just coasting a couple laps.
Well, actually, I would say butt kiss to your theory, because Kurt Crum, not this time through, but the lap before he ran his fastest lap of the race, so...
Well, he's not saving fuel, I'll say that much. Alright. Well, there is the 9 of Christopher Albright, who is just out here lapping right now, but Max Lupfer making a pass on Liam Park here. This is for 10th overall. That is a pass for position.
And actually, right behind him in the distance, the other DP of Arjuna Kankapati. In the lead, he's getting through, trying to get around Kenneth Hauseal right now, who's in the GTD lead. Yeah,
Kenneth Hauseal's lead is large in GTD right now. Can't say I didn't expect that. And Arjuna Kankapati just running a great race right now. He has, interesting, has not pit, and somehow his right front fender is not destroyed.
Yeah, so I'm guessing he got so close to the wall. I think RN
nut code basically. Yeah. Darn, I thought that was going to get exciting for a little bit. All right, anyway, Kankapati still continues to lead by a huge margin of minute 48 over Lupfer, who is off in the distance now for him. Anyway, battle for third place is one of the closest battles on the racetrack. But how about second in GTD, though? Elder and McVicker, these guys have just been going at it. They're so close on pace.
They've been really consistent behind each other. They have not left each other's side. I think since the drop of the green flag, they've been constantly chasing each other down, fighting for second place in class.
Hard on the brakes, get through the turns 2, 3, and 4 section. Big curbs here. These Mercedes could care less. They could cop curbs all day. These are probably one of the only cars in the field that enjoy curb surfing, actually. Even the Porsche is quite low to the ground and will hook those curbs and send it around like it happened to Lupfer earlier in the race. Sounds great too. This car's
yeah.
Yeah. This thing is a big V8. Yeah, no, it's a 4-cylinder.
Because
it's a 3-cylinder Mini Cooper.
I wasn't sure if it was like a V8 or a V10. That's where I was confused between.
I think V10s are typically higher RPM and typically associated with that you'd more see with the Porsche. I would have forgiven you for that comment if you were saying I guess the Porsche was the V10. But oh no, McVicker around. God, we got to stop doing this. We got to stop putting the cameras on people. Hey, let's just go to blimp cam for a little while and just stop looking at cars. No, I'm just kidding. McVicker spins out from third in class. Let's take a look. Just off balance, hit the bump wrong, and Oh, that was a big impact. That's going to hurt. Well, time to come into the pits and I guess give up on the making it to the end strategy at this point.
Yeah, really unfortunate for him. You can see him struggling, I think, with the handling of that car. As he's all the way to the right of the track.
Yeah, I'm sure he's coming into the pits this time. So there's your gap in GTLM. Kurt Krum, DJ Alessandrini, and Paul Darling. Alessandrini's actually slipped a little bit and has been slower than Kurt Krum the last couple of laps. So Kurt Krum let Alessandrini catch him, and now he's driving off into the sunset. Well, the figurative sunset. Long past dusk here. And down back straightaway, all snaking and drafting off of each other. And, whoop, that's Samuel Scott in the rear. That almost went extremely wide, but that curb out there is pretty big in itself. I love that livery.
Yeah, I know the tribute livery that Porsche did. Yeah, I honestly, they really should have just ran that the whole season. I actually, I don't think they are.
I don't know. I'm not.
I
sure.
hope they are. That is a really sick looking car.
The 59s, a throwback to the Brumos Porsche team, and of course running the Brumos livery. It's a very stylish looking machine. Dan McVicker in pit lane now, and I think he's receiving service, and yes, he is gone and away. So lost some ground after that spin, but a new lease on life for him. Anyway, DJ Alessandrini has lost even more ground now. 1.4 back from Krum, and now Paul Darling's reeling him back in.
Yeah, it looks like Alessandrini's kind of ran out of steam. I think maybe used his tires a little bit too much or something on that sort. But yeah, now it's Paul Darling's turn.
Oh, got one wide. It's, is that Shabalski?
I think it is. Look like it's, yeah, it is Shabalski.
All right, give me 1 second. I'll grab this, and he's just having a really rough night in that 21 car. And this is the same corner where he had an incident before.
Yeah. Was it too hard on the brakes?
Yep, too much on the brakes. And thankfully didn't run into anything that time. Knocked over a couple of cones and will be on his way. Shabalski just not, this is not the race of his career right now. All right, Robert Elder's all by himself in second place right now. He's run a very good race, other than an incident with Shabalski earlier. He's just kind of cruising. Yeah,
unfortunately, he lost his friend Dan McVicker, who's currently mired back in 5th in class, but has made his pit stop. So, yeah, I'm not sure. I'm curious again if these guys will be able to make it to the end. We're leaning to more that they should. So we'll see how it turns out. If he has to come down to the pits, and maybe McVicker can get around him.
Was this paint scheme inspired by TV static?
I guess. You're gonna have to ask the Zulu guys.
Is this the same paint that they run in? Oh, you almost lost it. Okay, we're going to switch cameras. We can't be looking at them for too long.
Yeah, it's more or less the same paint scheme they use in Ferrari Challenge.
All right, well, Kurt Krum and Alessandrini now closed up. Wow, last time Alessandrini turned up the wick 9/10 of a second quicker. These guys are all over the place with their lap times tonight. And I thought Alessandrini was being consistent, but he lost a little bit of ground. And now Krum is being reeled back in by all these cars, and this is the closest they've been since the start of the race.
Yeah, top three of all bunch of, and even you can even throw in Romig in there as well. Closed in on each other, and this is gonna be the race for the GTLM lead here in a few laps.
With 18 minutes to go, we're getting down to the end here, Finian, and you got to think when you're gonna come in and make that pit stop. If you're gonna do it, if you're gonna try to stretch it, we'll see if they'll make that happen. Paul Darling a little bit loose and somehow corrects it, but he's gonna run
and Kurt
way
Krum
wide.
also off the grass.
No, Kurt Krum wide, and he's going to lose the spot to DJ Alessandrini, and that might have been all it took to get DJ the win here.
Oh, it's not done yet. Here comes Romig now with a big run on Kurt Krum. He's going to look up the inside.
Take that spot easily. So Krum goes from first to third in just one corner. And what happened here? Let's take another look. Let's go from the chopper cam here.
Yeah, we were watching Darling when he went off the track, then Kurt Krum also went off the track over here, and just too hard on the brakes.
The same exact thing that Paul Darling did, and didn't run quite as wide, but he probably had to serve a little bit of a slowdown there as well. But Krum has the pace to get back to DJ Alessandrini, but when you throw DJ a bone like that, he's going to take it and run. So we'll see if DJ can hold on. 17 minutes to go here at Sebring. We're about 43 minutes in to this 1-hour Sebring practice race for the 12-hour this weekend. And Lupfer has gone a lap down to Arjuna Kankapati, and that has just happened here. And there is the number 171 of Robbie Wilson in 8th in class right now. Where is Andrew Mickey? You asked, back in 10th. No damage on that car, but not battling with Ryan Plord and Jordan Teal like he was earlier in the night. Really
missed a shift there.
Yeah, really revving out the engine, all she's worth here. Battle for second in class for a moment for GTLM, not quite. Timing and scoring just had a little mistake there. There's that blue light we were questioning where that came from.
On.
I don't know what's going on there, Finian.
Someone didn't do their job.
All right.
Debug the track.
So, Kurt Crumb's last lap time was 2 minutes flat, which is about 3.5 seconds off of his normal pace because of that incident.
Yeah, and Roman went a little bit wide on exit, took a little bit of grass, so he's lost some time to Alessandrini. I think this might be Alessandrini in the perfect position here.
Yeah, you don't want to give... Alessandrini is way too good to be making a mistake and just handing him a race lead like that. So, the question is, can Kurt Crumb overcome that? I mean, DJ has been behind Crumb the whole night, but he did chase him down from 4.2 seconds back, just was never able to get back around him. So... we'll keep an eye on this battle, but it's going to get hot here. And Paul Darling has closed back in on Kurt Crumb, and if Kurt gets trapped behind any more cars, he might have a bigger difficulty. So now the question is, if you're going to make a pit stop, you got to make your strategy now and do something different from the 3 guys in front of you.
Yeah, indeed. You need to do something different. But yeah, again, we were kind of sitting here wondering what these guys are going to do as far as pit strategy is concerned. And they're kind of getting to the end of the race here, so I guess they were running up the tank. Now it's just going to be matter. I guess more of a game of chicken. Who's going to try to pit last, take the least amount of fuel to get ahead of the others.
We've had 2 GTD cars pit. Both of them were for crash damage. Shabelsky and Albright have both come to the pits as well, but also for incidents and just general, just no real battle going on there. So I still think the DPs are going to have to make a pit stop for sure. And they are very quickly approaching the time that they're going to need to come. The GTLM's close, but I think they need to pit. I think so. I mean, these guys have not been running easy around here. But what a battle we're having for second right now. Sean Romig leading this group, then Kurt Crumb, then Paul Darling. You can just shake them up in a, shake up a dice and guess which one's going to win this race. But they are still losing a little bit of ground to Alessandrini. He lost a 10th. To them last time through. Yeah,
I think probably the fastest of these 3 here is Paul Darling. That's all the way back there in 4th. So if he can get around these 2, I think he might be able to catch Alessandrini, but he's got to make that pass now because they're starting to run out of time.
Heading down to the hairpin now, and we've seen this be a trouble spot tonight. On the brakes, taking a look on Kurt Crumb and just trying to get him to look up in the mirror, but it's not going to fool Kurt. The Porsches have a really unique advantage around here. Sebring is kind of a point-and-shoot racetrack in a lot of regards, and the Porsches have a lot of rear-end grip because of that rear-mounted, or well, actually, technically it's a mid-engine mounted engine now, but it's still pretty far to the rear. So what that means is that there's all the weight over the rear tires, and these things just get up and go on corner exit. We've seen an incredible battle so far tonight in GTLM. GTD has really been a Ken House-Seal show in that Mercedes AMG, the number 23 right now. It's been all Arjuna Kankapati since about lap 5 after Max Lupfer had an incident earlier in the race. Max Lupfer still on the racetrack, 1 lap down to the leader. He's sitting 9th overall at the moment, but the battle continues to be for second in class in GTLM.
Yeah, they're pretty much battling it amongst themselves here, riding in about a second and a half behind the leader.
They're all running so close together, all in the low 57s, and Paul Darling in the high 56s right now.
Yeah, Darling's struggling to get around Kurt Crumb, and I think that's probably the biggest car holding him up right now at the moment.
Crumb's really trying to get his spots back around and wide on the exit of Sunset Bend. All the way out to the grass trying to get speed. And one guy that has surprised me, Vinny, is Sam Scott. Was 3rd earlier in the race and just has absolutely lost... he lost pace for a little while, but now he's right back on par, just too far back to really be in the fight.
Yeah, indeed. So I think he finally found his groove back. But yeah, like you said, he's a little bit too far back now, and it's a little bit too late in the race to make up most of that time.
All right, Alessandrini's lead is 1.3 seconds, so it hasn't gotten too big. So I think you can still undercut him and gain about half that portion back. And again, I think with 12 minutes to go, you got to think these guys are just going at the end.
Yeah, that's what I'm starting to lean to too, because these guys are starting to run low on their tank, I would imagine. But you know, you never know with these guys.
Kankapati on pit lane in the prototype category. And Max Lupfer should be good to go to the end on fuel, but it's not going to be enough to save him in terms of winning the race. He will get his lap back here, though. And Lupfer, again, started off the night in the lead and had a pretty enormous lead, and then spun out and then had an issue on the curbs over in the S's section. Actually, we just saw a moment ago him driving over the corner exit at the hairpin, and there was a lot of dirt over there. Let's see if we can find somebody that is heading over that way. It might take me a minute to grab somebody. Trying to find a driver that is close there, because there's a lot of dirt on the racetrack, and that could be a problem for some of these drivers. There's battle for 5th. That's Samuel Scott passing the 0-3. Or actually, that's third place car of Kevin Volmore, I believe. Yes, it is. Andrew Mickey heading down to the hairpin here. Let's take a look at corner exit, how much dirt is out there. There's quite a bit off to the left, so it's not going to hurt you too bad, but it's definitely something to keep an eye on if you're battling. Anyway, speaking of battling, we're heading back to second place. Romig, Crum, Darling continue to be nose to tail, all running wide on corner exit.
Even Alessandrini threw up some dust as he went wide on exit.
These guys have absolutely turned up the wick. 10 minutes to go. It's time to go. There's no waiting around. There's no strategizing at this point. It's go time. If you have anything left in the reserve tank, you just got to go and use it.
Yeah, indeed. I'm curious. Yeah, so Valladolid has not been able to get around Kurt Crum. He's really been struggling with that. Currently, the fastest of these leaders is Kurt Crum in third place.
You know what? Something I'm also interested about here, Finian, is how difficult it seems to be to pass right now. We've seen Crum. I mean, he's running quicker than Romig, and Darling's running quicker than everybody right now, but just can't get by. The way these cars make speed just makes it tricky to pass, and I guess we've seen that from the beginning. The positions have not shuffled very much in GTLM since the start of the race, save for a couple small mistakes here and there. Again, dropping a wheel off Paul Darling. Got on board with Kurt Crum here for a moment. Surprised that rear wing on Sean Romig's car hasn't been getting any more problems, and that's not insignificant damage.
Yeah, he's pretty much been driving like it doesn't exist, so just a solid down. Again, he also has some damage to, I believe, his right front of his car, so, but he's pretty much been able to manage that like it was not, like pretty much nothing happened to that car.
Wow, hard on the brakes. Kurt Crum's way in, hot into sunset. He's wide on corner entry.
Oh, and he's opened the door for Paul Darling now. He's trying to take advantage.
Again, you can't throw the bones to these guys, especially the guys from the DC region SCCA. A lot of these guys have real-world racing experience, and Darling was joking before the race that he just waves flags. He's a flagman for the SCCA and has no real-world on-track experience, but I mean, you would think he would with how talented he is. You just can't throw him a bone. He's wide on corner exit at turn 1. Dragging tires through the dirt. He is all over Kurt Crum for third.
Yeah, I thought he would try to maybe send it up the inside of Kurt Crum, but thought better of it, so he's going to lay him behind Kurt Crum. But here's a big passing opportunity for him. He could set up the run to the hairpin. Lost a little bit of time there in exit.
All this happening 1.2 seconds behind DJ Alessandrini. Concapati still has the lead in prototype. Ken House still has the lead in GTD as we make our way down to the final 8 minutes of the Sebring 60 minutes here for this Sim Championship Racing Series. Incredible battles going on. This is a very close race.
Yeah, indeed, especially through the front of the field. Most of the rest of the field is pretty spread out. This is
whoa,
really
and he's wide. Oh, contact there. Darling took his shot and went for it down into...
Yeah, and I mean, at this point in the race, you kind of have to do something like that. You got to take drastic measures. Darling saw the opportunity, and he took it. And how about this? Look how far back he is. We're just able to close all that up under braking.
Just absolutely sent it in there.
Stamp, yeah.
And ran a little bit wide on exit and pushed Kurt Crum out a little bit. So I'm sure that Crum probably didn't appreciate that too much. But with 7.5 minutes to go, it's go time no matter what. You got to make a move like that. And he wasn't too far offline, so did it count as a dive bomb? Probably. Was it a fair move? I think so.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's with 7 minutes remaining, you got to do something. You're not getting around the guy in front of you easily. You got to do some drastic measures. So solid job by Paul Darling. I just got to worry about Sean Romig and then the leader, DJ Alessandrini.
All right, I would think that these guys in GTLM have made their bet and now they got to lay in it in terms of the fuel strategy. So we're just going to assume they're going to go to the end. Alessandrini out up front now. We should have about 4 laps to go for the Daytona prototype leader next time by.
Actually, speaking of which, where is the leader?
Leader is down on the far side of the course right now.
So he's pretty much half a lap away from the GTLM leaders.
God, I love how this car sounds. Such a terrifying place in the Daytona prototype because we saw what happened to Lupford hooking that curb with the center line of the car. But Concapati's just been running a fantastic race tonight. Now Seal still all by himself in GTD. He's just been out there since the beginning of the race. He's got his brakes glowing, but this has been an easy one for him tonight.
Yeah, definitely so. He's got about I'm trying to do some quick math here. He's got about a 40-second lead over Robert Elder, so solid job by the 23 house skill. Pretty much, yeah, just never having to look back in the mirror. One guy who does have to look back in the mirror is Sean Mormig. He's got Paul Darling all over his back bumper.
DJ Alessandrini's best lap is now a 1:56.9, which would make it the quickest lap of the race. So in terms of the GTLM best time.
Yeah, and was the fastest of the top 4 last time through as well. So Alessandrini starting to pick up the pace here more than the guys around him.
Although his lead has actually dwindled over the course of this lap here, Finney, and Sean Romig is closed in down to 0.8 of a second. That's well within draft range to bring him up a little bit closer, and Alessandrini's in the grass.
And he just choked a lot of momentum. Was right on board. Look up from above to see Romig closing in that gap. So yeah, that killed a little bit of momentum. That's not going to help out Alessandrini at all.
0.6 of a second, 0.5 of a second. He closed up nearly a half a second in one straightaway. That's the battle for the lead. There's a lap car just up the road that could factor into this. We have 5 minutes remaining here at Sebring. It'll be about 3 laps for these guys.
Wow, and Paul Darling got really close to that outside wall.
Correction, that should be 4 laps for them still, as the laps are based off of the leader, Arjuna Concapati, who is about a half a lap ahead of these guys. Flashing headlights for the second place Robert Elder machine.
Oh wow, and Darling went way off the track there. But yeah, Alessandrini now being held up by the GTD car. And he's asking him to move out of the way.
And I don't think he's going to, and this means that we're going to have a 4-way battle for the lead in GTLM with 4.5 minutes to go. A spectacular race here at Sebring.
Here comes Alessandrini to the outside.
And headlights frantically flashing on Romig. He needs to get clear. Oh, was there contact there? I think there was a little bit of a push and shove.
Oh, and Paul Darling's going to go on through Romig. Romig slipped on the grass. He's going to fall back to 3rd place.
Paul Darling and DJ Alessandrini are going to compete for the win here. Let's go back and take a look. I think there was some contact between Alessandrini and Sean Romig. Let's look on board. Oh,
he
definitely
really
contact.
hot, yeah.
Big hit to the rear. Good thing these cars are tanks. All right, well, now the leaders are Alessandrini and Darling. Romig and Crum, 3rd and 4th. Samuel Scott, 6 seconds behind in 5th. I think we're going to have a race on our hands. Darling has been quicker than Alessandrini the last 2 laps. He's coming.
Yeah, I believe had the initial lead of this race in his hands until he made a mistake. Put him way down the pecking order, drove his way back up to the front of the field. He is now fighting with 3 minutes left to go.
The Paul Darling did start on pole for this event and actually spun out on lap 2 in turn number 2 after just getting loose on corner exit. That was a big mistake. He's been working back from that ever since, but he's going to have a shot here. Look at the gap, half a second between him and Alessandrini. Now the slipstream's going to help here.
And they got a lap car up ahead of them again. Another GTD machine.
That is a GT3. I believe that's... What car was that? It's a Mercedes. I think it's the... One of the,
It's AJ Digby.
AJ Digby in the 5, thank you. Every time I look, I don't know who that guy is. Every time. I know who he is as a driver, I just don't recognize that car. Wow, look at this battle, though. 2.5 minutes to go, and it's Alessandrini and Darling separated by 0.3 of a second. You could throw a blanket over him here as they work their way through turn 2.
Indeed they are. Now it's going to be a matter of making no mistakes at all. They make one mistake, the other guy's going to get it. And they see the top 3 there fighting it out for the win.
Predictions here? Pick one.
I'd say, honestly, Paul Darling. I think he's got a good shot of this.
All right, well, I'm going to go with the incumbent Alessandrini. I think he's going to be able to drive defensively enough to keep Darling behind him. Will there be a push? Will there be a shove? We've got 2 minutes to find out. Alessandrini drops a wheel on corner exit. And you see all the dirt and gravel bouncing around. Might not be translate very well to the folks at home, but there's gravel bouncing all over the exit of that corner.
Yeah, and I've noticed Alessandrini starting to make a few more mistakes in these closing laps than he had been for most of that run, so he's starting to fall off a little bit, and that's allowed Darling to catch him. He's kind of cracking a bit under the pressure.
Alessandrini out the windshield, and that is Sean Romig in the mirror there in the center of the car, and you got to hit your apexes perfectly to get this right. And if Darling can stay within about 0.2 of a second on the back straightaway, he'll have a shot for him on the last lap. through the S's now. And this is the most important corner on the racetrack. Set it up perfectly. And Alessandrini's wide in the grass again. That's going to be a change for the lead here, Finian, as Alessandrini slips big time, and that's going to be the pass here.
Yeah, indeed. There you see to the inside. Darling's going to go to him as they head towards Sunset. They're still side by side, and Alessandrini's going to let him on through. New leader.
Not yet. He's going to try to roll the outside lane, carry that momentum. 1 minute to go. It'll be white flag for them next time by Alessandrini's in the grass on corner exit of Sunset.
2 to go for these guys, and it's still far from over. As you can see there, Alessandrini now slipping back to second place. Paul Darling in the lead. Alessandrini looks to the inside of turn 1.
Yeah, he took a look, but wasn't able to get the nose inside. Darling might take this opportunity to drive away. He's been quicker than Alessandrini the last couple laps. Sean Romig has been quicker than Alessandrini as well. But I think both of them are going to have to chase back down Paul Darling, because I think he's the quickest car out here right now. 30 seconds left. Where is Arjuna Kankapati? He's on the back straightaway. This would be white flag for him, and that will mean one to go.
Here's the thing. We'll see what he does at the line, because he could just slow down and finish the race right here. So we'll see what he does if he accelerates through the line.
I think he is going to, and white flag in the air.
Yeah, indeed. So white flag for Arjuna Kankapati. That means a lap and a half left to go for the GTLM leaders.
And it's still close, 0.4 of a second. Does Alessandrini have enough juice left to go back at Paul Darling? It's been an uncharacteristic run for DJ Alessandrini. I know he's still running second, but he's made a lot more mistakes than I'm used to seeing him make. So just a transition to the faster car, maybe? Or, I mean, this is, again, he didn't have a lot of practice coming into this event, so I guess we could say that at least. But Darling is... Oh, man, that's Romig.
Something's happened to him.
Oh, he just might have had to go, I think. He just pulled off the side of the racetrack. That's me, my guess.
Yeah, I would imagine so, because I imagine he wouldn't just give up third place like that.
Down the back straightaway for the second to last time. There is Paul Darling, and there is DJ Alessandrini. Here is the onboard look at the slipstream, giving the advantage to the 25.
This is Darling taking the defensive line into Sunset.
DJ's going to try to cross him over to the inside. Here comes DJ Alessandrini back on the inside. Can he make the move here? Bumping, banging through the final corner, over those bumps. 1 lap to go here for the GTLM cars.
Yeah, and there you see Alessandrini. Looks like he's going to lead him at the line. Oh, no, Darling's going to lead him at the line, and he's just going to slot himself ahead of Alessandrini. Alessandrini going to back off quite a bit. Oh, was that it?
We are seeing no checkers here. Did he think it was over?
Oh, no. Did he? Oh, no.
Oh, that's a big mistake.
Oh, he did a Mark Martin. No.
Checkered flag is not out.
Oh, it's not out for these guys, but actually if we go back to Arjuna, he's going to come around something. He's going to see the checkered flag.
That is a big, big mistake for DJ Alessandrini. He could have won that race here, Finian.
Oh, no.
Checkered flag finally in the air. There's a GT3 car out of fuel. It's a second place car of Robert Elder, but across the line, Arjuna Kankapati wins here in the IMSA SCRS 60 Minutes of Sebring, and he'll get to celebrate. But what happened?
Alessandrini pulled a Mark Martin, shades of Mark Martin right there, man. I can't believe he did that.
And he's just off the pace now, maybe looking for a fun battle to end this night. Kurt Crum coming up from behind. We mentioned that Sean Romig had exited the race. Max Lupfer, where is he? He's on the far side of the course. How about Ken Halseal? Where is he? He's coming into, I believe, the final corner right now. And Halseal was up front since the beginning of the night and just drove away with it after second and third were caught up in collisions. And Ken Halseal will collect the checkered flag in the GTD category. A lonely night it was for him.
Yeah, indeed. Well, but it's a good night for him because he was in the lead. And speaking of which, here's Paul Darling as he comes onto the back straightaway, and he's got no competition behind him.
And Darling, again, this is what you pay attention to, those black boxes. He might have looked a couple laps ago and saw how close it was and figured there might be only one to go. And then when he got to the line,
actually, he looks really slow right now. Also, he's pacing at like 30. Is he out
of fuel?
Yeah, I can see the car sputtering. Oh no.
Out of fuel.
Oh, that is rough.
We knew it would be close.
As we catch back up with Paul Darling, he came across the line. He's gonna win the race in GTLM.
Kurt Crum will come home in second place, so that's why he slowed down then. It wasn't a Mark Martin situation. I think he just knew he was gonna run out of fuel and tried to back it down. He was so slow, I was like, why is he slowing? But that would be why. Okay, well, we were wrong. But awful. I mean, it was that's how close it is. Sam Scott's out of fuel, too. They were trying to stretch it just a little bit too far.
And here's the thing. Here's what could have changed that. If Kankapati, if you just decided, I'm just going to slow down 5 seconds, they would have had to do an extra lap.
Wow. And it was just a little bit too far.
Yeah.
Again, Sebring International Raceway, 3.5 miles around this place, Finian. So that means that they had probably about, they were half a gallon or less short on fuel.
Yeah.
I mean, you could probably get a solo cup and fill it with fuel. That would have gotten around.
I mean, they were again, like I said, they're so close to that being the last lap. As Kankapati only came around it with 3 seconds left on the timer, but because he crossed it, and the timer ran out after he started the lap, it ended on the next lap. So yeah, if it was just 1 lap shorter, they would have made it to the finish line. So tough break for them.
All right, I don't think we were going to plan on doing interviews tonight just because everyone's kind of spread out through a bunch of Discords. So what we're going to do here is we're just going to conclude coverage here, but don't go away quite yet. We do want to tell you about a couple things going on here on SimTV this week and this weekend. Tomorrow night is going to be the opener for the Virtual Racing League, the Xfinity cars this time around at Daytona International Speedway. That's at 10:35 p.m.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun race.
Eastern time, or excuse 10:25 tomorrow night. And that's all the typical guys who normally see from Virtual Racing League, but in Xfinity form. And then what's going to happen from there on is Saturday night is going to be the Outsiders opening race at Daytona, and they have a fantastic schedule this season. Those are the old guys from VRL. That's the new Cup Series form of VRL, and great schedule that they're running.
Yeah, indeed. It'll be the last, it should be the last time we see the old Cup Series package on SimTV before we switched over to the new stuff with this upcoming build.
In addition, Sunday night, we're going back to the 3WI Driver Development Series. That'll be on Sunday night at 9:40 p.m. Eastern Time. And then Monday night is going to be the 3WI Triple Crown Roval Cross, is what they're calling it. It's the rallycross cars at the NASCAR Rovals. So that's going to be a spectacular series to watch. One of the drivers that wins that series will win a charter for the Cup Series that will be broadcasting on Monday night later in the year. And let's see what else. Tuesday, we're back with Fuel Cup and Grid Life. And then Wednesday, we're back with the Washington, D.C. region SCCA. So that's what's coming up on the next week or so. Then Ferrari Challenge will resume. Actually, I think they're off another week.
Next race is on the 14th.
Yes, so it's I'm going to thank Arjuna for... but yeah, I mean, that's what we got coming up this week. If you seen the Spec MX-5 Sim Racing Challenge that happened last night on the Winding Road Magazine YouTube channel. We streamed that event. I think last time I checked, it was nearing 3,000 views.
Yeah, it was close. I think it was like 2.7 thousand.
Yeah, so we're very happy with how that went last night. Some spectacular racing with a lot of the names that you see here on this grid. So go give Winding Road a subscription, and we'll be back there. 2.8K, 2.9K right now for that race. So fantastic race we saw last night, and their next race will be at Summit Point Raceway at the end of March. Go give Winding Road a subscription, and we'll see you there in about a month. All right, I think that wraps up coverage here tonight. We'll see everybody tomorrow night with the Virtual Racing League, 10:25 Eastern Standard Time from Daytona. Thanks, everyone, and have a great night.